I'd like to start off by saying that I don't have a fucking clue why I'm posting this on X or really at all. Maybe I'm afraid of dying or something. The events described in this story happened a month and a half ago in Shenandoah, West Virginia. Although I typed this out 2 weeks ago, I just haven't really had the guts to post this until what happened yesterday. The story starts in late September when my family went to visit our relatives, who invited us to celebrate one of them, Desiree, getting like $2,000 in some lottery scratch-off thing or something. They live in a really shitty part of Shenandoah that people from Charlestown, Shepherdstown and Ranson, basically the least redneck parts of West Virginia, like to call Squalor Holler. It's way up on the mountains, and exactly like how everyone would picture it, When they hear about it, they think of, nothing but ramshackle shacks, rusty rebuilt trailers, everything fucking covered in decades-old Christmas decorations because they're too busy being smelly rednecks to clean anything up. Real deliverance kind of shit, Just no rivers or canoes. The relatives we were visiting were absolute confirmed inbreeders, all cousin fucking each other. We don't refer to them as aunt, uncle, whatever, just relatives. They're not terrible people or anything like that, just absolutely cartoonish, depressing hillbilly stereotypes. So anyway, we're up here in this godforsaken trailer. It sucks, There's like 8 of them, plus me, my dad, my mom, and my sister. About 2 hours in, my mom takes my cell phone so that I can focus on the family time together, which was bullshit, because all we ever did was we ate TV dinners and watched NASCAR and shit on TV. After like 6 hours of this shit, and about 10 minutes before we were supposed to leave, it starts raining. We all know how treacherous the roads can be up in these mountains, so we decide to wait for the rain to die down. Flash forward 2 hours later, and it's fucking dark as hell outside. 10 o'clock, and there's a flood warning for the area. I had my phone back by this time, no reception though. Of course, I'm playing Tetris and Texas Hold'em and stuff, when suddenly I hear my dad start losing his shit in the next room. I walk over, and it turns out that they let slip that they buried their kid, Thomas, outside, and apparently they were afraid the rain would wash up his body or some other horseshit. The kid was like 6 years old. He was attacked by a dog and they never told the cops. Just buried him like he was a fucking family pet or something. My dad was flipping his shit, and rightfully so, cause we, live in the 21st century and all that. So our relatives say they sort it out by tomorrow. My parents tell me and my sister to stay in the same room as they were during the night, and we do. None of us really suspected that they killed Thomas or anything, since they were all really peaceful. They didn't even own any guns from aside this one old-timey double-barreled shotgun they had on the mantle. Nonetheless, we were creeped the fuck out, and intended to tell the cops in the morning once we got to town. So it was like 3 in the morning. I couldn't sleep. The power had gone out for the 5th time or so, and I'm not able to charge my dead phone. Worst part is, I could see Thomas's little grave right outside the window. Little cross on it and everything. I assumed the kid couldn't have been buried deep at all since they were worried about him washing up out of the grave. So I was fixated on it. Kept being drawn out looking out the window. And then I saw the worst fucking thing in my life. Something was creeping through the trees towards the house. I stared for a while, but I couldn't get a good look at it since it was raining and the brush outside was so thick. For a few minutes I assumed it was 2 really pale horses kinda ambling towards the woods side by side. But then it walked into the moonlight, and I saw that it was all one thing, like kind of a human torso but wider. It finally stepped into full view, and I saw it had something like 6 legs, kind of somewhere between a beetle's legs and a horse's legs. 2 arms, right where someone would normally have them, but they were about half a foot longer than any normal man's arms. It had a bald head, but the face looked like some sort of fucking bizarre masquerade ball kind of mask. This fucking thing clenched up, furrowed forehead, and a nose that sort of looked like a crow's or a raven's beak. It didn't have eyes either, just like these 2 depressions where the eyes would have been. It seemed like it had a human mouth under the proboscis. What strikes me odd is that it really seemed to have a penis too, like right on the abdomen where a normal man's dick would be. The thing sort of moved gracefully and made these soft thumping sounds when it moved. It must been like 7 or 8 feet tall or something, but it sounded like it only weighed just a little over 150 pounds or so. It started walking towards Thomas's grave, and I finally snapped out of what trance I was in and just screamed. My mom is the first one to wake up, and I tell her to look at the window. She rushes over, but doesn't really seem to understand what she's looking at. For a minute though, the thing bends down and starts pawing the ground with its bare hands. My dad and Jasper rush in, and Jasper just fucking loses his shit. Screams like a little girl, runs back out of the room yelling to his father, "It's outside, it came back, and it's outside." I look back and see the thing is furiously digging at the ground, kicking up huge amounts of dirt. I hear these sounds of feet running around the house. I think they were looking for the shotgun. The thing reaches to the hole and grabs what I assume to be Thomas's body by the leg in one hand. The thing kind of gallops back into the woods, snapping all these branches and shit, and then that's when we all hear it. A kid's crying. The sound of a child sobbing and crying from the direction that the thing went off in. We left as soon as the rain let up at like 5 AM or something. I don't think we even told anyone at the house. We just drove straight to Ransom, only stopping for gas. No one said a word to each other. My family refuses to speak of what happened. I tried to bring it up once, just to make it sure it was real. My dad told me to shut the fuck up. So I did. I typed this up about 3 weeks after it happened, but just saved it on a notepad file and left it alone. Never mentioned to any of my friends or anything. I just tried to erase it from my memory by getting absolutely fucking drunk whenever my thoughts lingered upon it. And it almost worked until yesterday. You see, I work at this gas station in Ransom from 8 PM to 3 AM. I work the register. I keep the place pretty clean, you know. I take out the trash, and yesterday, when I was bringing out the trash bags over to the back of the building for the dude in the morning to take care of it, I heard what I assumed to be some fucking junkie fucking around in the dumpsters. I yelled out a couple of times whoever was behind the dumpsters to get the hell out before I was calling the cops. But as I walked towards the source of the noise, I suddenly heard these footsteps. That familiar soft thumping sound, you know. Hooves or whatever the hell they were, you know. I turned right around and to the back of the store and hid behind the counter. I looked over outside the security monitor to see some kind of movement from just off the screen. Something huge was casting a shadow and moving. I caught a glimpse of you know, I don't know, an elbow or something, a pale limb, darting in and out of the wheel. It had to be the same thing. I waited for it to leave, and after a while, it did. After that, I woke up around 6 AM in the morning to my manager giving me these weird fucking look, like I'm a fucking addict or something. I went home and typed the rest of this up. And that's about it. Thanks for listening, guys. I really hope that you enjoyed this narration. And I just wanted to say that I wanted to do these, classic stories with my real voice, I'm not gonna do all the 4chan videos with this voice, but I also have some creepypasta stories that are coming out very soon. And with those videos, I'm gonna use my real voice. So, be tuned, subscribe, like, and most importantly, share your feelings and comment on my videos. Thank you.